Hey, what's up, y'all? Good morning. Good morning. It is Monday here. Still just at the mean, making a little run back up to it here this morning on ES. So, like I was preaching here during prep yesterday, going to be very, very patient here this morning. Like we're talking about here in the chat. Definitely looking like we might have us a slow morning. I'm going to repeat this again here before the open, but I'm going to say it now. You know, as usual, right, and I say this all the time, I'm just looking for a good level to put on risk, right? This is the main backbone of any of my trading strategies. Anytime I'm looking for an entry, right, it's always going to be at a as I say, a great level to put on risk, right? A very strong inflection point, a very strong level where we find liquidity, right? And of course, the daily mean is one of those levels, right? This thick white line here in the middle of this Keltner study, right? And again, this Keltner study is a stock study with Thinkorswim. This is not something that you have to pay for or you have to get from us, right? This study already exists in your Thinkorswim. And the thick central line here on the daily chart is the daily mean, right? And if you guys watch my preps, you guys know for me, it is this tan solid stair-stepping line right here. So back to my point, right? Again, I'm always looking for a great level to put on risk, and we're at that level, right? We're at one of these levels now. But this is a very big one, right? So we got to be very patient here this morning as we let big money decide what side they want to be on. Right, so just looking back here to the last couple days, you know, for example, last week, right, we had some good moves away from it, came back, right? Had a good move away from it again, right? This is what I'm looking for. A retest of a level like this daily mean, if we make a leg back to it. So these are some good trades here, right? But again, you know, we have some indecision in general while we're here at the daily mean, right? For us day traders, you know, here just taking scalps and very short-term trades, this is great, right? We have a couple legs away, a couple legs to it. We've got a couple nice smaller trades here in between. But overall, big money here struggling to make a decision, right, over the course of a couple days. And more than likely, you know, they're just waiting for retail, right, some smaller cash, to start taking positions on either side, and they'll eventually, you know, choose the side that could be more damaging to the rest of the smaller traders, right? Or let's see ultimately what their long-term agenda here is. Maybe we re-rack here over a course of a couple days, and then we continue higher, right? Ultimately looking to get back to this 4,500 key psych level above. So again, just going to be really patient here this morning. It is the opening session of the week. We have monthly expiration this week for options, so we could see some tricky price action this week. And then again, not to mention all the Fed speakers we have this week. So just gonna run over there real quick. Again, give you guys a quick rundown on that. If you didn't catch my prep last night, this is what we're looking at this week, right? We got Fed speaker today. We've got a couple Fed speakers tomorrow. We've got a couple Fed speakers on Wednesday. We've also got Beige Book on Wednesday. Thursday, our usual jobless claims, but we have Powell speaking middle of the session. Right, so definitely going to be a tricky week, not to mention a bunch of other Fed speakers there on Thursday after him. And then to close it off on Friday, one more Fed speaker. So very likely going to be an annoying week, right? It's going to be an annoying week. So for the entire week, need to keep our expectations in check, right? Always be ready for whatever leg you're in to maybe stall out and reverse, right? Let's not be greedy with our positions here this week, because each leg might be short-lived, right? As usual, we're going to take here positions with multiple contracts and allow ourselves to run here with some runners with those last couple contracts in our positions, but always keeping our reality in check here, right? Could be a tough week. And of course, I'm just going to quickly go through these because we've got a couple minutes here, but we're looking at the same setup pretty much everywhere, right? We're down here at the mean. We have some decisions to make. Just got to be patient here this morning and allow big money to choose what side they want to be on here of this daily mean, right? Just got to wait for them to make a move away from this daily mean, and then we'll start picking up trades from there. But while we're just here chopping at the mean, I'm going to be very picky, right? I'm going to keep my position sizes very small. I'm going to try to start paying for maybe both directions if we do chop here, right, with some smaller positions, but going to wait overall for a nice strong attack on this market until we pick a side here of this daily mean. Well, I am with a couple tighter squeezes here, lower time frame squeezes, but again, same setup, right? We're at the mean here. Just need to pick a side and pick a direction. And we're going to wait patiently until that happens. And just looking at some of our bigger tech names real quick, and then we'll look at some strikes here for SPY and QQQ. But again, looking at a similar setup, right? Apple here, our biggest name in the market, making a little pullback here on Friday after a nice run up, getting kind of close to this mean again, right? And then here, pre-market, we're definitely cracking through where the mean would be, right? So Apple back at the mean, same setup. Just gotta wait, right? We were looking through all these strikes last night in our prep for all these individual names, and they were all pretty evenly balanced, right? So again, some indecision, right? I don't know what to trade this morning, so I'm definitely going to wait until they make it much more clear. Amazon here still holding this 130, right? We got the mean here near this 130, key psychological level, key moving average, right? Again, just waiting for a direction, right? Just need to let them choose a side here. And I know that if you watched my prep last night, right, I said this similar thing over and over and over again, right? Google, a little bit stronger here than our other mega caps, but also getting down to this daily mean, right? Just a couple points off. So again, right, just continuing to wait to see if we continue to stay on this side of the mean here for Google and the rest of our tech names. Meta also coming back down almost to this daily mean, right? Had a nice run back up to what was this 326 before up here, and getting back up to those highs, a smack back down, and again to the mean, right? Microsoft is chopping up above the mean here a little bit. Little pullback here on Friday to get closer, but again, a similar setup here to our big tech names. Again, just waiting to see what side we continue to punch in price action of this daily mean, right? And a lot of these names have other key things where the daily mean is at, right? I know last night I mentioned a lot of key psychological levels, right? Just levels themselves here. This 325 on Microsoft, a big one. We've also got the daily 50 tucked in here, and then a bunch of lower time frame squeezes that have their bottoms right here near this level as well. This 4 hour is pretty decent. Netflix is trash. Don't look at Netflix. Nvidia right at the mean, right? So a great one here, right at this 450 psychological level. Got the daily 50 there, daily mean. Really nice level to play off of here, right? If you did your own prep and you are very focused in on a certain name or two, right, we're at some good levels to put on risk, right? It's not a bad idea to maybe put on some risk early on some of these names if you know what you're doing, right? If you have a game plan. What are your targets and what is your bailout target, right? But all right, here, let's choose some strikes here. Get over to my main beast screen. Got about 3 minutes here, y'all. So QQQ set to open here at about 367, a little bit above 366 here. So overall, keeping it easy. Really like, if you're playing today, this 370 and this 365. I'm going to throw both of these up here. This 370 did close at Beast, but looking at about the same price value as these other puts here that closed at Beast. So we're going to see. Going to be a little tough here. Depending on what price action looks like, I might quickly flip over to tomorrow's strikes if we start to kind of not go anywhere, right? Don't really love these strikes just kind of dying here due to theta decay when we're not really going anywhere. So again, going to be patient here at open, just going to look at these couple of strikes just to continue gathering information off of them, right? I like this 370 call here that closed right at Beast. Not surprised with the downside action we got on Friday, but gotta be careful here, right? It's the beginning of the week. We got OPEX this week. They will not make it easy. So hopping over to SPY right here, opening a little bit closer to 435, very close to 434, and again just sitting right here on the daily mean, right? So SPY, still looking at today's contracts, gonna look at this 435 call, closed that Beast, and we're a little bit closer to that. And then I'm gonna have up here this 430 put. And again, just because I don't really like what I was seeing last night or here this morning on these setups, I might quickly flip over to tomorrow's contracts just to give myself a little more wiggle room and a little bit more room to tolerate drawbacks, right? Alright, y'all, we got about a minute here. Ooh, I have not updated my Beast. Just gonna do that here real quick. Ten seconds here, y'all. Alright, and ding ding ding. So again here, y'all, we're at the mean. We got some squeeze tops here right at the mean on ES to work with, right? We could quickly see a little rejection here from these squeeze tops. Right, and Q here at some squeeze tops as well. And ooh, we're also up at our destination sell zone here on YM. And NQ near some squeeze tops as well. So let's see, you know, we might get a nice little pullback here to start. Tick opening here over positive 1,000, right? And as usual, looking for this initial test of 0. So we do have a little bit of room here to fall on tick to eventually test 0, right? So we could have us a nice little downside leg here to start this morning. But again, being very patient here, right? It's the open of the week. Again, we have monthly expiration this week here for options contracts. And like every Fed speaker speaking this week. So again, won't be surprised if we see some rotation here momentarily, if we see just a lot of back and forth this week. But definitely going to be extra patient here this morning, extra picky. We got VIX open between 18 and 19 here. And so again, right, I'm going to say this all morning. I've been saying it all morning, right? I'm just going to be patient here and wait for big money here to decide on which side of this daily mean they want to be on. Right, we're sitting literally right at it on ES, just a little bit above it on NQ, and sitting right on it on YM. Getting a nice little pump here from NQ this morning. So I'm just going to take a look around at the contracts here that I chose before open. As usual, right, as you guys always hear me stress, you know, I'm definitely always very focused on this open level, right, this thick white dashed line provided to us by our beast tool and our beast zone itself. Man, getting a really nice move here from NQ initially. YM was also popping here a bit, but starting to pull back. So starting to get a little bit of rotation into tech. Dragging ES a little bit higher. Okay. But tick is dropping here, right? So just out the gate, we're getting some manipulation here in these opening 30 minutes. Got VIX dropping down to 18. I like that here as we get some upside, right? That's what we should see. But anyway, back to these contracts. Want to see how these open levels did here in comparison to our beast zone. So looking at this 370 call on QQQ, opened up a little bit below here our beast zone, but getting a nice little pump out of it, right? Already printing a double here. Something to keep an eye on. Let's see if we continue to pump here on QQQ and even in the pullbacks if we start to hold our B zone. And alright, looking over to SPY, looking at this 435 call today, you know, a little bit closer here on SPY to that strike. Right, so not surprised to see that this open level opened up above its B zone and getting some nice value out of it here. And jump over to our puts, and so same kind of situation, right? We're a little bit closer to this 435 call on SPY, so not surprised to see that the 430 put didn't have as nice of an open, right? We're a little bit farther away from this strike. This 365 put though here, a little bit interesting, right? Opened up a little bit farther away from it. I guess we weren't too far away from it when we opened, just getting a nice little boost here on the call side for Qs. But I do like to see that this open level was above this B zone, have yesterday's open above it as well. And currently in this B zone, let's see how we do down here. This little solid orange line here is the low of day, and so we can see Friday's low of day on this 365 put was right at our B zone. pretty much right at the open, defended it, and took off and never looked back here on Friday on this 365 put. So let's see how we continue to do here on this put. They really liked it on Friday, maybe today as well. And getting a nice boost here just out the gate on Qs, right? Getting up into this daily 50. Wouldn't doubt we get a little pullback here immediately on Qs, right? Tick working its way down to 0. ADD pulling back as well. I think I'm going to take a little shot here on this 365 put early on, right? But again, small position. I'm just going to buy 2. Just going to buy 2. Give myself a little bit of exposure here if Qs start to pull back. Still have a little bit of room here to the upside on NQ before reaching this daily 50 and before reaching this destination sell zone, right? I'm more keen on a reversal happening here than currently where we're at, right? But again, I have a small position size. I'll allow myself to maybe buy a couple more here, and then we'll take that little risk to come back down. And again, you know, I'm here trading same day options, right? I'm just taking a little stab here on a quick reversal. But I'm still being hyper aware of my overall thesis of waiting to see what side we truly pick of this daily mean. Right, I'm taking a little risk here on puts just because I like the resistance we have above us here on our major indices. Right, we have the daily 50 here on NQ. We have our destination sell zone just above. Right, I think we actually just rarely see it and rarely even talk about cracking through one of our destination zones and continuing away from it, right? That's just a not probable scenario here with our beast tool that we have observed, right? So I'm not going to overthink this, right? Just taking a little shot here where I should. And we're just going to see if this downside works here. What else is adding to my thesis? We're now down to 18 here on VIX. 18 is a very key level on VIX. We could totally see the bounce here and see the market start to roll over. So again, I'm in here at 36 cents on this 365 put. We did just get down to 31 cents and a little bounce back up to 40 cents here. But again, just keeping it cool, right? I've just got 2 contracts. Not going to break me if it goes against me. But I do have 2 contracts, right? And I talk about this all the time, right? I'm going to use one contract here to defend my other contract. So we're in here at about 36 cents. Ideally, a double is what I get out of this to completely pay for my second contract. But again, you know, I'm going to keep my expectations in check. I'm going to see what levels I'm working with here on the chart. So this 365 put, right, coming back from this open level at about 76 cents. You know, that's a decent little move here from 36 cents, right? I could get that double if we do make a run back up to 76 cents. So maybe not too heavy of an ask for this contract, but I am going to stay hyper aware that maybe 60 cents here, yesterday's open, is what I'm going to get here initially, just to remove the stress on my second contract, right? Doesn't mean we eventually don't go way higher here on this put, but I'm trying to protect my peace overall, right? I have more than one contract, so that I can use these contracts wisely, right? I want to use one to defend my other one, right? If you have 4, you use 2 to defend 2, and then you use 1 to defend the other even higher. Right, and the idea is that you just keep scaling up like this, right? If I have 10 contracts, right, I want to get out of 5 early on, maybe 50% up, 70% up, you know, especially here in these short-term contracts, we see that pretty frequently. You know, use about half your position to defend the other half, right? And then you just keep halving your way up, or just keep trimming contracts on your way up, so that eventually your last contract or your last couple contracts are completely paid for, right? You trade it differently at that point. Your brain functions differently. All right, you're gonna keep looking around here. Starting to pop up here a little bit again. And getting a nice crack to negative here on tick. Little gap down through 0 as well. ADD kind of falling off a cliff here. So I'm feeling pretty good about my puts here. Right, getting a little bit of rotation, NQ still holding up. YM giving a little look down, but neither really going anywhere yet. And VIX catching a little bounce at 18. Again, still hyper aware that all three indices are currently just above the daily mean, right? So very well could be a bounce here at this daily mean. But since it is the opening couple minutes of the session, right, we know we see a lot of head fakes at this time. Starting to get a little bit of a pullback here, up to 50 cents on this contract, right? I'm up about 14 bucks per contract on 36 cents. I'm already getting up near about 40% or so. And again, I'm not going to be shy or greedy about trimming one up here between 60 and 76 cents, right? Because more than likely, let's say we do start to get a downside leg, there's going to be little pops in lowercase h's as we work our way down, right? That's going to allow me to then buy another one, right? Ideally, what happens is we come up, we trim one, likely get a pullback here, right? Which would mean a bounce on the market, but then we just continue lower, right? So that bounce on the market is going to give us the pullback on the put. I buy another one, and then we once again go higher. So a little dip here below the mean on ES. And again, love to see YM up here, you know, having to do battle with our destination sell zone, as well as the top of these squeeze clouds, right? We got a 2-hour squeeze cloud right here, and a 1-hour squeeze cloud. And then, of course, the daily mean and a psych level of 34,000. So again, this could all turn into support right here. But because it's early, I'm taking a shot and seeing if they will quickly smack it back down. And we're pulling back here a little bit more, up to 65 cents on this contract. So again, I'm going to take one and I'm going to sell it right here. Okay, so I just picked up 29 cents on a 36-cent contract. Right, I just paid for the majority of now my second contract, right? This contract that I still have up is pretty much paid for, right? So now the way that I manage my the remaining of my position, right, my remaining contracts, my brain functions much differently, right? I'm way less stressed out about this. I can think much more clearly about how I'm going to manage the rest of this position, right? And again, I'm just using a couple contracts here because I know most of us here have small accounts, right? But if you have a bigger account, all you got to do is start just cranking up this number, right? 3, 5, 10, 20, do whatever you want up here. But the strategy is the same. And as always, right, especially here with our Beast tool, just looking around, especially to the other side to gauge these moves, right? So now we have this 370 call here down at Beast. This is a nice psychological strike as well. And we're down here to our open range sell zone, the top of these squeeze clouds, and this daily 50 on NQ. We could see a little bounce here. So I'm going to pick up a little hedge right here, about 38 cents on the call side. And now I'm just going to let both of these work. Again, I've already locked some profits here on the put side. This is still green, right? So I can now take a little shot on a hedge and allow both of these to work, right? Again, I'm looking for this put to pull back so I can buy another. If our direction is ultimately to the downside, I definitely want some more of these, right? But as I lose value here and maybe come back to my entry to pick up another one, right, I'm going to be trimming this call so I can make money while my put here pulls back for me to pick up another. And if it doesn't happen, that's fine. My put will go higher, I'll lose a little bit on the call side, and then I can just cut my hedge. So again, I've already locked some profits, right? So my brain is nice and calm because I know that I'm currently playing with profits, right? At this point, I don't care which way we go, right? I'm going to be making money regardless. And I get to start to really set myself up for whichever direction this market decides to snap. Just a quick look back over to our indices, see how we're doing here. And so far this morning, just based off current price action, I'm going to be a little bit biased towards the downside. I want to assume, but again, no idea, right? Don't actually know if this is true, but just based on what I'm looking at, right? I'm going to be playing a little bit harder to the downside than I am the upside. Just because we do have some squeeze clouds here that could smack us down, right? The top of these squeeze clouds. We have our destinations sell zones here on our beast tool, right? Which would also provide a lot of resistance. You know, we don't typically see names crack above our destination zones and keep running. Doesn't mean not possible, just playing probabilities. And then again, you know, we're working our way up above these means, right? So the side that really needs to prove itself is the upside. So again, just looking like it might be a little bit easier to fall here. But again, you know, it is still the opening 30 minutes of the session, opening 30 minutes of the week, right? We still see a lot of heavy volatility early into any session, especially the first session of the week. So still hyper aware that this could just rocket ship to the upside, no problem. And okay, losing a couple cents here on my hedge, but my call's still holding up here where I got out of that first one, so still okay here. Gonna double down here on this hedge, gonna pick up one more, just so I can implement my same strategy here, right? In case we do start to turn up, I at least have something to work with here to the upside. And again, I have some levels to risk against here, right? I got in here at my B zone. We have this open level below and that low of day, right? If we crack under here, this open level and this low of day, I will take a 20-cent loss on this, right? I've got two contracts, 35 cents down to about 25, 24 cents. I take a $20 loss, and that's okay, right? Because at the same time, I've already made about 30 cents here on the put side, and if I'm losing value over here, I'm probably gaining value over here. So really, don't care what happens here. I'm positioned pretty good for both. Right, we start to pop here. We'll start trimming my calls, which will bring my put down to my entry again, and you best believe I'm going to buy another one down here deep in this beast zone. Especially if we don't get the high of day, right? We pop here and just start to put in an H. These puts are going to be money. Some decent moves from Tick here this morning. Got pretty deep to the negative side here, negative 500 or so, and a really nice run back up to almost positive 1,000. So definitely something to keep an eye on here, right? We could start to get some upside here. As well as some rotation, right? NQ a little bit more wiggle room to get up to this daily 50 and our destination sell zone, while YM is already sitting and struggling with our destination sell zone. So we could see some rotation here and Q to the upside. Hey Chris Kerr, appreciate the love, man. Yep, just trying to slowly and just systematically here drive this into everyone's brains and continue to produce some good traders out here. Some very patient traders more than anything. So looking back at my positions here, again, my put's still green, right? Still pretty green here on my put. My calls here sitting right at my entry were just decently green. But again, happily positioned for both sides. And most importantly, I'm trading stress-free, right? I have some great peace here in my brain. Still just playing with profits. I'm positioned for both sides. Life is good. Getting a nice little pop here. So again, right, I'm happy with this pop. If anything, I want it. I want a little pop here. Let me reload some puts. Let me trim some calls. Gonna move a little bit closer here on the SPY put side. Just keeping an eye on this, right? Let's check out this 431 put, sitting right at Beast, trying to hold up. Right, so maybe a little rollover here, building up for SPY. And SPY struggling with our open range sell zone, right? Again here, this thick white dashed line is our open level, red zone above is our destination sell zone. Green zone below is our destination, or our open range buy zone and our open range sell zone. So SPY continuing to struggle with that open range sell zone. These puts continuing to hold up here near that open level and our beast. Could see a little rollover here, but again, at a tough spot, right? We're at some critical levels here, and just like our prep last night and the couple names we ran through this morning, the thesis remains the same, right? Both sides look pretty good, right? Upside and downside. Just really have to let them choose what side they want to be on, right? Until then, we're just going to get chop and rotation here near the mean. So again, you know, just keeping all expectations in check here, right? Not looking for home runs here on either side. I'm going to keep trimming, you know, at these with these small gains. So again, getting a couple cents here above. I wouldn't mind trimming this call here. Maybe we get to VWAP here at about 45 cents. What are we in at, 35 cents? Maybe you would like a little more than that, but we'll see. But just like we were talking about in prep last night and this morning, right, both sides looked pretty evenly matched, let's say here, towards the close on Friday, right? We were looking through those options chains last night, and nothing was really at beast on either side, especially in all the individual names. And then even for our daily expirations here on our indices, they were pretty evenly spread out, or pretty evenly matched as well, right? We had a couple strikes at beasts, a little bit further out than what we're comfortable with for dailies, and they were at about the same price points. So we keep it simple, right? There's a simple answer there that most of us don't really want to acknowledge, but it's, you know, what do we do in a situation like that? Just do nothing. Right? If you don't know what to do, just don't do anything. Because a much more clear trade is probably right around the corner. And if you're a little bit more of an advanced trader, right, your nothing looks like what I'm doing right now, right? Just sizing up both sides, right, trimming where I can, and hopefully, you know, if we just continue to get some chop here, hopefully it's enough chop to keep these contracts moving, and I can just keep trimming here, you know, as both sides get the pop. Eventually, ideally, you know, I can have both sides paid after a couple of solid waves. But the more time we do spend here just chopping, the more time we get to see what contracts continue to respect our beast tool, right? This 370 call having some nice pops here, pretty much to the cent here at our beast bottom. YM up here, some perfect rejections right at our destination sell zone. And getting some rotation, right? YM pulling back a little bit, NQ trying to pop. And ES just not going anywhere, sitting right on the mean. Right? This is exactly what we talked about yesterday, right? What we talked about this morning. And again, you know, just looking at all of these contracts in reference to Beast, you know, this is kind of what they pointed to here with that close on Friday and with what we prepped here over the weekend. Ooh, getting a nice little boost here from these calls. And again, right, let's just see if we get up to high of day here on Qs. But again, I'm not going to be greedy here. Looking at about a little bit over 10 cents up on this contract. Let's see if we go a tiny bit higher, and I'll try to clip this here maybe at around 50 cents or so. Gonna pick up another put though while we're down here near my entry. Let's see if I can get it right at my entry. But again, right, this could roll over right here, so I don't want to be greedy here. I want to be able to do this exchange and not let it get away from me. I'm gonna go ahead and hop into one at 38 cents. And I'm gonna go ahead and trim one on this side here. Come on, baby, give me 49 cents. I'll take it, I'll take it. Now, see, can't be greedy here, can't be greedy. Nope, running away from me. Alright, that's okay. Let's see if we get another little breath up. And I'll trim one up here. But it's okay. Got myself another put, which I really wanted down here in case we do get that rollover. And look at that. That little pullback coming right back to my entry on these calls. And this is a little quick sometimes, right? And this is why I also like to recommend to play the next day's contracts, right? It moves a little bit slower, gives you a little bit more time to think, a little more wiggle room as well. But overall satisfied here, right? I'm getting what I was hoping for. Another pop-up, I was able to get into another put. This is my main position, right, as of now. And just waiting. Stronger pullback here in YM. Got down to this 5-minute 21. Right, I've got this 5-minute 21 here in this dashed tan line. Right, and again my daily 21 in this solid tan line. So the 5-minute mean and the daily mean. Well, I am getting a nice little bounce at that 5-minute mean. And it looks like we're about to get another retest here of VIX at 18. This could really give us some direction here. This next reaction at 18. So wouldn't be surprised, right, that we start to pop up here, get near high of day again, VIX comes down, tests 18, and then bounces, right? And then we get a pullback before that high of day, putting in a lower high. But of course, right, you know, just what we've been talking about as well, have to be patient and let these things unfold, right? I was expecting slower price action this morning from what I prepped yesterday, right? And we're getting that. So I don't need to be antsy here. I don't need to be like trying to rush this market, right? I knew it was going to be some slower price action. Making a nice little move here off my entry again on the put side, right? And again, I have 2 contracts here, so I'm just looking to do the same thing again, right? I got out of this first one somewhere up here near, I think it was what, the 67 cents or something like that. So I'm just looking to do the same thing, right? Just between these 2 open levels, right? Yesterday's open and today's open. If we can get up here again, I'm looking to sell one of my contracts again and keep that second one. And as for right now on the equity, kind of starting to look like what we've been asking for. We'll see what this second peak looks like here this morning if we continue to just roll over right here. At a nice psych level of 368 here on QQQ as well, we definitely have a decision here to make, and probably pretty soon, from big money. Oof, and YM taking a little bit of a spill here, and NQ holding up, right? Still seeing some rotation. So not surprised to see maybe the SPY puts working a little bit better here. This 431 still kind of cheap. Oh, bounced right back with NQ. Okay. And again, I still got contracts on both sides, right? So I don't care what works here. Not going to be greedy here either as we get back to high of day, right? I'm going to trim one up here. Moves fast, moves fast. And not really blasting through, right? Not really blasting through. I think I'm even going to pick up here maybe a third contract of these puts. And just kind of keep working my way through this like this, right? Right at my entry. Let me into a third one. Come on, baby. Nope, trying to run, trying to run. Okay. And so again, just going through this some more, right? I trimmed one of my hedges here. Didn't make that much on it, right? Got out at about, what was it, like 55 cents just now? No, 45 cents. My entry was like 35 cents. Still not bad though, right? That's like 30% there or so. But most importantly, I'm throwing some more profit into my pool today that is going to allow me to have more peace of mind as I trade my other contracts here, right? I have now locked in a 35-cent contract with a 10-cent profit, right? Think about that for your small account. You've now just secured, especially if you have a cash account, right? Just secured 45 cents to fight another day, right? You reduce your exposure, you lock some profits, and now what you still have up in play has now more wiggle room, right? I have less stress now. And just looking to both of my positions, right? Both of my positions are still green here. And now as well here on the market during our open session, right, we now have a nice little range to continue to base off where we're picking up more contracts and offloading more contracts. Right, so I'm actually going to look down here at SPY real quick. And we have this nice little range, right? I'm going to again point out our open range zone. It's this between this red and green zone, right? This red zone is our open range sell zone, and this green zone is our open range buy zone. But SPY here has currently chosen its range to be between this open level and this open range sell zone. Again, always very focused on this open level, right? We're seeing them defend this open level here above it could mean some upside, but seeing rejections here at this open range sell zone. So I'm going to keep trying to pick up, even if it's on QQQ, contracts down here at this open level on SPY and trimming them here at this open range sell zone for the call side, right? And then the inverse here for the puts. Q's up here a little bit higher, but looking at a level to possibly reject. I'm going to sell this other put here that I have. Come on, baby, let me out, let me out. Okay, I'm out of calls now, completely. So taking a little risk here being out of one side, right? I'm expecting maybe another rollover right here at high of day. But again, I could be now wrong at this point, right? But if I'm ultimately wrong on this and we blast higher and I have no calls and I start to have to maybe bail out my puts, that's okay, right? I'm still pretty green on the morning so far. Cracking a little bit higher here on Qs. Oh no. So now here, a little stress, right? I'm out of calls. I'm still in puts, taking a little damage here on these couple contracts that I have. But gonna give this an opportunity to roll over here, right? We're right at high of day, not quite through it yet. And we're almost down to our open range buy zone here on the put side. Man, nice pump from SPY here, cracking through high of day. Might have to bail out on these puts here, but that's okay, right? Again, I positioned myself nicely this morning, playing with profits. I can take some heat right here. And I'm still okay. Gonna give this a little opportunity to maybe engulf back. And if not, we'll bail out of this, no problem. Right, this 370 call got up to its open range sell zone. Let's see if we start to get a rejection here. And Q up to its destination sell zone, up to its daily 50. Right, just have to give this an opportunity to reject here. Could be wrong, right? Could totally be wrong. I'm hyper aware about that. But again, I've already locked plenty of profit on both sides. Still green on the day. Have to let this unfold, and this could come roaring right back. Got all three of our indices here at our destination sell zones. Right, as stressful as this could become right here, losing some value, I'm not in my upside hedges. I just know that based on our tool here, it's not typical that we crack above these zones and start to run. Doesn't mean it won't happen, it just has a less of a probability. So I'm just gonna give these puts a little bit of time to work, right? Ultimately, I feel good, especially because, at this point in time, just based on price action and our tool, I'm expecting downside at these destination sell zones. So I'm in a couple contracts on the put side, right? Mostly paid for. Shit, if not entirely paid for at this point. I've got 3 contracts at like 40 cents. Yeah, pretty much all paid for. And so I just have to let this work, right? I have to give this a chance to work. It's been about 45 minutes, still got plenty of day left. We're up about 35 points here on ES, 36 points. We have a ton of downside in the tank as well if we do roll over. Right? I'm giving myself the better risk reward here as well. And we've got point of control right here on ES in our destination sell zone. A little bit of wind blowing against our ship here right now, but I think overall we have the wind in our sails here if we start to really roll over. And again, it's a Monday morning. A lot of times we see a high of week or a low of week here in the first session of the week, maybe even the first half of the session. So I'm not going to get too wild here, right? I already have 3 contracts here on this side, right? I'm not going to just keep averaging down on this side. I'm just going to let what I have work, because in the adverse event that I am wrong here at all these zones, whoops, I don't want to be too deep on one side either, right? Especially if you have a small account, right? I think we have all experienced averaging down into pretty much oblivion and then wasting all of your cash that way, right? Don't blow accounts just averaging down all the way to zero. So again, just being patient here. Got my put side pretty much paid for. And just allowing our destination sell zones here to do their job. Right, not to mention we have a couple other things here providing us a little ceiling here this morning on our indices. But just taking a look around here at our internals as well, a little bit concerned here about VIX. Expecting VIX to hold up at this 18, starting to crack under it here, right? This could give us an upside run, so definitely have to be careful with this, right? Doesn't mean this won't just turn back up and go right above 18 again, but just have to keep aware of all of these things at the same time, right? Got to be careful here cracking above point of control on ES. But again, just a lot of waiting, right? Up to point of control here on ES. Led by YM. YM popping a little more, but NQ here now struggling right at our destination sell zone and right at this daily 50. Right? I want to keep seeing this. Cracking a little bit above it here. So again, I know I'm taking some heat here on this 365 put, but just giving this a little bit of a chance to work. Again, I already locked profits on both sides here, giving me this wiggle room, right? Still not red on the day. And continuing to watch this interaction on this 370 call, right? Big psychological strike, definitely gets a lot of volume here. Continues to struggle here with our open range sell zone provided by our Beast tool. Right, I want to keep seeing this rejection so that I feel okay about this put probably coming back to life here, hopefully in a couple of minutes. Right, and we know how this goes. You know, my entry here is just 38 cents, right? This will go 22 cents to 38 cents in a candle. Right, we're at a key point of liquidity here for ES as well, right at this point of control. And so overall, this is what I'm looking for, right? Just want to see us continue to stall here at these levels, right? The longer we stall here, the better I feel about my put position. Even if it's sitting here at lows, right? I'm just going to hang on here. Keep allowing all these upside looking charts to stall out and start to roll over, right? This 435 call here on SPY, know where it's now in the money here, but I'm just pulling information from this chart, right? We're going to continue to see this call here stall at our open range sell zone, right? I want to see this 370 call continue to stall here at our open range sell zone. Again, all these levels here on our options charts provided to us by one single tool, our beast tool here at Predicted Trades. And a little push higher here on Qs. YM still stalling a little bit. Still want to see this rotation, right? That means they're not really ready to just take off yet. Going a little bit higher here. And this is why I definitely like to recommend playing the next day's contracts, right? Because ultimately we might see a rollover here pretty soon. But taking a lot of damage in my puts in the meantime is definitely very frustrating, especially if you are a newer trader, right? This definitely makes your blood boil. But again, I'm sitting with a good amount of profits here. Down about 50% on this position. But again, most of it paid for. Still just watching this 370 call. Got up here to about high of day. And just waiting, right? Still, even though we continue to crawl here a little bit higher, still at some great points for a rejection. Tick still not really doing much here, just sitting near zero. ADD not really taking off either, right? Couple things still keeping me here interested in the downside. But VIX, I definitely don't like VIX here, continuing to drip at low of day below 18. I definitely want to see VIX make a little run back up here and bring this market back down. We are getting up here near 4,400 on ES. Again, another key psychological level here that we could see the rollover at. But also just keeping in mind, right, we have come from quite a few days of downside, right? We could just run up here much higher, no problem. But so far, a pretty decent upside leg here, especially from NQ, right? YM still struggling here a bit. But gotta keep an eye on this, especially if we do get the pullback here, right? Now I need to be focused on possibly an upside trend, right? If we do get a pullback here, I can't be greedy thinking we're just gonna engulf all the way back down, right? It could now be a pullback to reload and then go higher. So as we do start to pull back, even if we get up here near my entry, right, I might start to peel off that first one at my entry, right? Reduce my exposure to the contradicting side, right? Already taking some damage here, so if we do get back to my entry, I don't want to be greedy. Right, many times we get back to our entry and we start to say, all right, this is the moment, let's rock. and then it goes right back down, right? So always just trying to play it safe here, especially if we do start to get a move back in our favor, right? Can't waste that opportunity. Tick with little bounces here at 0, right? Don't love that here for my puts. Crawling a little bit higher here. Oh, and a nice push above here. Yep, gonna have to maybe bail out on these puts here. But again, overall here on my entire day, not really taking a lot of damage, right? I collected a good amount of profits here on both sides. Overall, not really that upset about what I got going on here. Obviously would prefer it in my direction. But not really taking too much damage here. Gonna give this one last opportunity to work here right at this 4,400 on ES. But for sure, if we start to work our way up to this high from Friday, going to cut these couple puts. They are pretty cheap here, but again, I got a couple contracts, right? And if we're talking a small account, always got to get back everything you can. And it is tough, you know, to keep an overall outlook for like the entire day while you're trading same day contracts and as they're going against you. Right, I'm down about 60% here on this position, but again, it's a same day contract, right? And we are still just at these same zones we've been talking about, right? Making a little reach above them here, but very easily come like 30 minutes from now, right, we could be right back at this daily mean across the board. So it's very easy to get shaken out here out of these downside positions and then ultimately still get the move that we thought was coming. It just comes later, right? But again, depending on your account size, depending on the type of account you got, you can always re-enter, right? I don't need to be taking all this damage here either if I don't want to. I can always come back and re-enter later. So again, just gonna give this here a couple more minutes to see if we get smacked back down under this 4,400. If not, we'll call it quits here on the put side. But then, still super aware that could come right back in like 20 minutes and we re-enter that position, you know? Yeah, gonna bail out of this baby. Right at this destination sell zone on QQQ though at 370. I hate it. I hate it. Right? Could easily get smacked right back down here. Point of control on NQ as well. Shit again, you know? Had most of this paid for here. Still just right, pretty much flat on the day. I think I'm going to let those ride still. Still got a lot of day left. And it's definitely not going to be straight up here for the rest of the day. So I'm going to actually let these babies work. Yeah, I like that here in the YouTube chat. Maybe a little bounce here in the dollar where we had some recent consolidation as well. Very possible, right? That's exactly the kind of things I'm looking for here that could point towards the tide changing, right? And I've got this daily 15 simple moving average right at that level as well. Man, should have hung on to at least one of these calls though, right? Always trying to hang on to at least one of these runners. Made the mistake here of getting a little too confident in that rollover, and boom, my hedge just kept going higher, right? Should have held on to one of those. Oof, really nice push higher here from YM. Damn, YM really making the move here. Now just peaking slightly red on the day here. So again, not too bad, right? Of course, washed away those profits that I had locked in earlier, but overall, total account management, not taking really any damage here. We did get right back up to Friday's high here on ES. Could be a great spot for a rejection. Up to this 4-hour squeeze top as well on YM. Let's see what these puts look like here for SPY. Maybe this 433 put. Ooh, right at our open range buy zone here. Maybe this 434 put. Ooh, our buy zones here stacking on this 434 put. I like that. I'll take a little shot here on these SPY puts as well. I'm gonna pick up 2. Here at about 39 cents. And I know, right? We're already taking a lot of damage here on the put side, but again, I'm not going to buy calls here on such a strong run up. We are between a bunch of key inflection points here on all of our indices. So again, just taking a shot here at some great levels to put on some risk. And again, even though I'm taking damage here on puts currently, I'm not going to be afraid to play that side once we've gotten up to some key levels here for possibly a reversal. Right? My last trade has nothing to do with my current trade. And again, here on NQ, we're at point of control. At ES, we're at Friday's high. YM, up at this 4-hour squeeze top. Some old points of control as well, and just cracked through this high from Friday on YM. And so again, you know, I'm in some puts here on SPY as well, this 434 put. And this is a little bit closer to price action than, say, my 365 put here on QQQ. So if we do get a little rollover here, right, I'm going to quickly look to gain and to lock in some profit on these puts to try and, again, cover more of my less happy put, right? If I can collect some profits on this, I'll again wash away any pain here. And if we do ultimately get a nice rollover here on the whole market, this will all just be then free cash. But again, got to give this a few minutes here to work at these levels. I'm not going to get too much riskier up here with these positions, right? If we do start to actually crack through this point of control on NQ and through this high from Friday on ES, I will cut all of these puts. So again, just gotta be patient here, y'all. See if we start to get the rollover here, right? Could just see some chop up here for a few minutes, and you just have to tolerate that as we maybe get this rollover. And again, looking towards, you know, what might come after that, right? Don't know if it's just gonna be in complete engulf to the downside, right? We could just start to punch in an upside trend. So I'm not going to be greedy here on the pullback. If we do get a little pullback here, I'm going to quickly start trimming some puts. And we'll be right back, y'all. Alright, so again, getting a little bit of a flag here, right where we expected at these key levels. So again, just looking for this to keep stalling and ultimately roll over here for these puts to work. If we start to make a nice move here above Friday's high on ES, then we'll bail out. Right, because I'm also not going to just keep taking stabs here at the reversal, right? Eventually, you just got to get out of the way. Always down to take a couple stabs here on the reversal early into the session. But after an attempt or two, just have to let the other side go. But after a nice steep run up, we'd like to assume we get a decent little pullback, but we'll see. Again, you know, we have come from a couple days of some pretty decent downside, right? Could totally just continue straight up. Very, very possible. Starting to curl over here just a bit. VIX starting to pop here again. Dollar still dipping a little bit lower here though and getting to low of day. Don't love that. Want to see the dollar pop as well. Typically gives us downside in the market. I do want to see tick start to crack under zero here. And I want to see ADD ultimately reject this open level. And again, just have to give it time to work as well, right? It's not going to be just a straight shot back down. But as I said earlier, right, as we continue to stall here, more candles we put in here not cracking through these levels, the better I feel about the rollover. Right, this is a flag, of course, so we could just get more of the same, right? We then just rip higher. But again, you know, a nice stall here at some key levels lets us know that it's at least a good place for an entry. And again, something like this 435 call is now in the money, but I'm just trying to pull information from it, right? I want to see this 435 call get back out of the money. So ultimately, looking for something like this 435 call, right, we see it got up and rejected right at yesterday's open level, or Friday's open level. So again, looking for like this call to remain below this level. right? But still not loving, right? All these bounces we're getting here at 0 on tick. I want to see tick get back under 0 here for these puts to work. Yep, dollar selling off here a little bit more. And again, I made the mistake here of fully closing my hedge here on this 370 call, right? And that was down here like under 60 cents. Should have definitely at least kept one as the runner, right? I would likely still be green on the day. Sitting here pretty much flat on the day, but would still be looking even better had I kept a hedge runner. But again, just staying cool here, right? Currently just crossing over back and forth red and green on the day, pretty much flat on the day right here with those profits I locked this morning. So again, not too stressed out, still in a good position here to make some cash this morning if we do get the rollover. And if we end up popping, then I will cut these puts and take a small cut on the day. Again, no big deal. This is trading, unfortunately. Well, I am popping up here by itself a little bit higher, but again, seeing some rotation here, right? Not a team move to the upside. So again, just wary that we might just get that team roll over here pretty soon. So again, just another little sign here that it might be worth tolerating us still just sitting here. We're also sitting up here near an ATR on ES, right? ATR here about 61 points. We're sitting up about 52 points here on ES. And our other indices also sitting up near an ATR. So again, it doesn't have to mean anything because we've had a lot of downside here in the past couple of weeks. But we've overall had some pretty decent price action to the upside here this morning. We still have a lot of session left, so again, just better risk reward here to the downside. But again, all of that doesn't have to mean anything, right? The market doesn't have to do anything. And again, even though YM is popping here a little bit more, still okay because I'm seeing NQ here lagging a little bit. Little pop back up here in the dollar, nothing crazy. Nothing too crazy from our internals in general here so far. You know, tick still holding above zero, right? Overall, just kind of giving us a little bit of upside. But ADD pretty flat here, trying to work its way back to its open level. VIX pretty flat here as it has a little bounce before getting to 17 and just sitting here at about 17 and a half. You know, nothing really screaming here so far. Cadipan, no, I'm not more bearish necessarily. I just understand that here, after a nice run up and still early into the session, that the next leg could be a downside leg. But as I was saying here a few minutes ago, right, I am aware that after a nice run up, right, the trend could be upside, right? We can be in a bullish trend, but I'm ready for the next leg to be downside. So again, keeping my expectations in check, right? If we do get downside from here, I'm not going to be greedy with the couple contracts I have. Right? I'm going to quickly start to trim them because it could just be just that, a slight pullback to then go higher. And overall, to anyone who wasn't here before the open or at the open, right, I've been saying all morning as well. You know, we're just looking for a move away from this daily mean, right? This daily mean is this thick, or not thick, but solid tan line right here I have going across at about 43.84 and some change, right? Just looking for moves away from this, right? We ultimately got a nice move to the upside, but we're at some key inflection points here on all of our indices. So just trying to see if we play a little pullback here, but then ultimately we could just go higher on the day. Starting to get that pullback a little bit here in NQ. Tick making a little dip here under zero. YM still holding up here though, so still getting a little bit of rotation. YM putting in another tiny high of day here. And again, just giving this time to play out, right? But again, this is why I stress all the time, and I think I might just start doing it myself as well, for everyone's sake, is playing the next day's contracts, right? Playing the next day's contracts, those are still volatile, right? They're still going to make nice moves, but you can withstand drawbacks, you know, you can tolerate pullbacks much better with the next day's contracts. Or, you know, just a lot of chopping around can be withstood much better with the following day's contracts. But again, you know, as we continue to stall up here, right, feeling better and better about my puts, but ultimately still hyper aware that as soon as we crack this to the upside, I'm out. Right? I took a couple jabs out of here this morning. You know, have already washed away the profits I locked in this morning, right? But again, that's what's keeping me in this downside position right now, is that I was able to lock in some profits this morning, and I'm using that to be able to tolerate this upside leg while I'm in puts. Man, and YM just trickling a little bit higher here. Right at this point of control from June. Let's see if this will be our ultimate ceiling here for YM. Still keeping a close eye though here on my internals. Again, not really screaming here from the internals, but just watching how they all move together and seeing what we get here, right? Want to keep seeing this dollar pop here. Want to see ADD stay under this open level. And a little bit of a push higher here, but nothing crazy. Again, just a little wick higher. See if it drops back into this wick. Nope, pushing a little bit higher here. Alright, I'm going to cut these puts and leave the downside alone here for now. Again, small accounts, so always important to get back as much as you can. And that's alright, you know, can always re-enter this downside here later if we get it. But ultimately, at this point, right, we do have a nice upside trend. We're staying above the mean like we were talking about this morning, right? You need to choose a side of the mean to be on. All of them are now above. So just look for some pullbacks here to get into calls to go higher. You know, we are now at a nice psychological level here of 4,400, right? Above that on ES, above that high here from Friday. You know, not some not so bad levels to take shots for the upside if we get the pullbacks to them, right? Definitely not going to jump into calls here anytime soon while we're still crawling higher. But we will eventually get a pullback, right? And we can jump into some calls to then go higher and keep this trend going. But again, you know, I'm just very wary about all the levels that we're at. You know, the slower price action we're getting, and also being at about a day's work here to the upside on some of these indices. You know, a larger move to the downside is just more probable going in here into the later half of this session. But again, you know, for options, timing is everything, especially same day options. You know, this could be the slowest rollover ever, and all options, both sides, just kind of die out here towards the end of the day. So again, highly recommend playing tomorrow's strikes, right? Especially if you're maybe trying to catch a reversal those puts for tomorrow might allow you to have a little bit more wiggle room and tolerate more of a drawback before they actually work. But all right, y'all, I'm going to wrap up my session here. Again, kind of a tough morning, a little shaky here to start, but definitely got a nice clean leg here about 30 minutes into the session. Right, and just don't fight trend, right? I'm always down to take a couple jabs against the trend here in the opening hour and a half or so, but after a while, right, just don't get in this thing's way. If we do have a trend change, right, it'll be a drop, there'll be a pop to retest some level, right? You won't reclaim high of day and then we'll continue lower. Look for that first before jumping into downside, right? Let it dip, let it pop, let it not get back to high of day, then you can get into the downside if that's what you're looking for, right? At that same time, if you're looking for upside, right, on that pullback, you can reload. You know, something that we typically keep an eye on here is this 5-minute 21. For me, it's this dashed tan white line, dashed tan line. You know, we many times see pullbacks to that and then a continuation, right? No matter what side we're on. If it's downside, it's a pop up to it and then a continuation. Something just to keep an eye on here going into the rest of the session, right? Be careful with those same day contracts as we slowly just move through these levels here, right? Even just a slow grind higher, calls are going to also be tricky to play. Wait for those pullbacks, wait for those retests, and then get in. But all right, y'all, I'm out. Much love. We'll be back in here later this week, but I'll catch y'all in the chat. All right, if you guys are new here to Predicted Trades, feel free to join our server here for free. You can join our server via the link in the description of this video. Immediately once you join, we have a ton of free resources for you to check out. Got a lot of market education, whether it be options, whether it be just normal common stock trading, whatever it is, futures. Obviously you see here I talk a lot about futures. We talk a lot about futures in this Discord. So definitely jump in there, check us out. We code a lot of tools in-house here as well, like these squeeze clouds right here. Right, got this 2-hour squeeze cloud, but I'm on a 5-minute chart. Right, definitely something to check out that we provide here at Predicted Trades. Here again, we have a 4-hour squeeze top, right, squeeze cloud, but I'm on a 5-minute chart. So something definitely to check out if you do drop into our server. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later this week. Hope everyone has a great rest of the trading day. And again, just take it slow here, right? Keep your position sizes small and you will stay stress-free. All right? All right, I'll catch you guys later and have a great rest of the day.